President Biden will indeed travel to Poland Friday, and that, of course, is a frontline NATO state. A Wall Street Journal editorial says, quote, "Don't go wobbly on Ukraine now." In other words, don't go soft. Kurt Volker, the former U.S. ambassador to NATO, joins me. Mr. Ambassador, what should President Biden say and do on his trip to Poland?
Well, I think the most important thing is to show that we are concerned about the humanitarian catastrophe that Vladimir Putin has created, and we are determined to make sure that we help those refugees and that we will make sure Ukraine survives as an independent sovereign state. And that'll be coming on the heels of the NATO meeting on Thursday. That's a very important message to come from NATO as well. And then finally, I think it's very important to send a warning about weapons of mass destruction, that we will not accept any use of weapons of mass destruction, nuclear, chemical, or biological. Putin must know there will be a serious response to that if it happens. Should we say Putin's got to go? I don't know that we want to say that, but we got to say that Russia's got to get out of Ukraine. How the Russians do that, whether they do that with Vladimir Putin or without him, that's going to be up to them. But we certainly have to say that Ukraine will survive, and we will not accept Russia's continued assault on civilians there. So we have to accept the reality of Ukraine having large numbers of Russian troops in it, its cities being demolished. We kind of have to accept that, right? No, I don't think so. I think that we have to be pushing for Russia's withdrawal from Ukraine, a commitment to no use of WMD by Russia and protection of civilians, and then keep giving Ukraine everything it needs to defend itself. They are doing a remarkable job. They're pushing back in certain areas like Mykolaiv, like Kherson. They deserve all the support, and our goal should be to see Russia removed from Ukraine. Do you know if the anti-aircraft missile systems like the S-300 or the Patriot missile batteries, are they in operation now, either just outside Ukraine or inside Ukraine? Do you know that? Are they there? Yeah, I believe the S-300s are being delivered to Ukraine right now so that they will be operational. The Patriots are going to Poland and perhaps to Slovakia to backfill. And in what way should we escalate from there? I don't see any reason why we haven't green-lighted the Poles giving those MiG-29s to Ukraine. I think we need to be looking at increased air defenses. I think there are more Stinger missiles that we have in our inventories that we could be providing to them. We ought to be looking at the A-10 aircraft still. I know it's complicated, but they need these ground attack forces as well. And I think at NATO, we really need to be thinking hard about what is our moral obligation here. We don't have a legal obligation to defend Ukraine, but when you see these images of civilians being targeted, being forced out, 10 million displaced people in Ukraine, we need to be asking ourselves what more we can do directly to help those people and to get Russia out of Ukraine. But as the Wall Street Journal says, don't go wobbly on Ukraine now. One more thing for Mr. Ambassador. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The president of Belarus says Putin is, quote, completely sane, and another quote, in better shape than ever. What's your assessment, Mr. Ambassador? Well, if it's Lukashenko saying that, he's probably comparing Putin to himself, and so in that respect, he probably looks pretty good. But all kidding aside, I think Vladimir Putin is in a trap that he set for himself. He can't fail to win in Ukraine, but he also can't win in Ukraine. So he is determined to do everything possible, escalate as much as possible, to try to pursue a military victory. It won't happen. Ukraine will survive. And meanwhile, he's brought these sanctions onto Russia that are going to devastate the Russian economy for decades. So he is now in a box and increasingly desperate. Ambassador Kurt Volker, thank you very much for joining us, sir. Always great, and we appreciate it. See you again soon. Yes, sir.